I should have worn my waffle shirt. I got a waffle shirt in Atlanta.
Yeah, waffles. Waffles are abound.
Or else I should have worn my waffle shirt. Yeah. So, how you guys doing?
Good.
Let's talk about cars.
Yeah, we get. That's the idea, is to talk about cars. How's the M5 running? Besides what you've shared.
The M5 is actually running pretty good. The little sputters, I gotta obviously find out what's going on with that. That's only occasionally. I must have put 300 miles on her yesterday, and on a few occasions that happened. But you know how stuff is muscle memory, kind of like we're all old enough to where our parents had to beat the television, or had us beat the television, or had us beat the channel changers or whatever, and I think a regular person, not without 6 vintage cars, might have panicked when something started going wrong. I didn't even change going about my day. I was like, oh, okay, reset on the fly. Now there were a couple times where there was like a semi behind me or something, and I was like, sheesh. But between this M5 experience and last weekend going up to New York City in the M3, which felt like taking it into battle, it's kind of invigorating, right? Driving these old cars. I don't claim to be you or the wolf as far as being able to fix stuff, but
well, that's weird because I don't claim to be the wolf. So who you claim to be?
It's still fun. I feel like I'm fuzzy. It might be this light washing me out.
Oh, you're good. You look good. Adam, what's up with you, man? What's been cracking? You said look on your social media. You're not gonna tell me where you at. You weren't at a brewery.
No.
It had one of those, either a brewery or one of those places where you got to pay for a burger and it's like $19 and it's like this big around.
This place called Tacos and Beers, and they spell it TAKOS, and they serve them a la carte like most places do here. So you buy one taco and you can get 3 different kinds or whatever. So I get this thing called a Pac-Man, and it's got 3 different types of meat on it, cheese, whatever. Anyway, it's really good. I said, hey, let's go, let's meet afterwards and we can all have lunch as a family. So that's what we did. We just, kind of hung out and watched some football. And I got like 6 or 7 teams I got to keep up with now in college football. So it was kind of a chill day,
Why do you have 6 or 7 teams you have to keep up with?
Because I have all kinds of friends.
And he roots for his friends' teams.
Yes, thank you. That's it. My alma mater isn't a top 25 team, so
nor is it a top 2,500 team.
Right. So that's also fun fact. That's also if I ever decide to continue my education, I must go to a top 40 team. School. Yeah. Just so I can have that, in my back pocket for.
So you can be that annoying drunk guy on Saturday mornings at
listen, nobody in Ohio went to college.
Nobody
from Ohio went to college.
Exactly.
But they're all Buckeyes fans.
It's not
actually today I had to give a lesson in church, right? So second hour we have like a meeting of like there's men and there's a female class, right? So my lesson was about miracles, modern day miracles. And I started off the class by talking about
let me guess. Wait, you started off talking about Brooklyn's M5?
No, not that.
Better
actually. I said something about how the church's school's football team is undefeated this far into the season, and I got like crickets back.
God.
You're like, oh, that's a real miracle, and I was like, all right, tough crowd. I'm not allowed to say anything bad about BYU.
How many games has the church's team won, dog? That's actually hilarious.
They're 6-0. They're 6-0.
Dude, don't let them discourage you. That was hilarious. That should have brought the house down. If they had humor.
So you said, what was the joke again? It's a miracle that they're undefeated?
Yeah, something like that.
No, yeah.
They were like stone faced.
dude, I'm telling you what, all of the BYU gear is starting like popping out, like BYU ties, little BYU, pins on the suit collar, all that garbage, all that stuff is out, right? Because I mean, they're having a good season,
Right.
I can't remember what they're ranked. I think they're ranked in the teens somewhere, but that's like a really good outcome for them.
For sure.
Anyway, so I keep up with all this stuff, and it's pretty easy to keep up with the top 25, but a lot of my friends have teams in the top 25. So I follow like Alabama, I follow Ohio State, BYU, Tennessee, Florida, Miami, sorry. What's some other ones? Oh, USC, I follow them as well. So I mean, I got to really like pay attention. And then I text my friends. I text my friends and say, "Hey, this is a tough game." Like last week when Alabama got beat by Vandy, I was like, I'm texting my Alabama friends, and I'm like, "Yo, Vandy."
Yeah. Wait a second. Did I uncover something? Are you actually a hater? And like,
no.
When the teams lose, you're like, oh no, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean that's how it goes, though. I mean that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't like in the cards.
Yeah.
Usually, that's the thing about college football is right. It's supposed to be perfection. That's it.
Right.
If you're getting to the end of the seasons, you're in the championship. You have maybe lost one game, maybe,
yeah.
In many cases, you've run the table the entire season.
Right. And if you lost the game, you better have been number 3 and lost to number 1.
Something like that, yeah.
Right.
Yes. So I think that's why I appreciate college football so much more than pro football. Plus, it just kind of matches my friend base because, I mean, been all over the country. You just have friends from everywhere. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's a big old rant for nothing, I guess.
There was a guy when last time I got on the plane. He was right behind me, and he had I was like putting my bag in overhead or whatever, and he was like on my way down from Duncan. He was there, and we're kind of in each other's way, and I was like, oh, pardon me. And he had an Alabama shirt on, and I was like, roll tide. People, the Alabama fans, like they could be, you could rear end their car, and they'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You're like, "Roll Tide." They're like, oh, "Roll Tide." That commercial,
yeah,
the ESPN commercial where it's like, "You don't even know," and the guy was like ruining the speech at a wedding, and then he was like, "Roll Tide," and everybody was like, "Roll Tide."
Yeah, when I wear my Miami stuff out, and I wear my Miami hat all the time, and I forget to be across the airport. Somebody be like, "You," and I'm like, huh?
Oh, dude.
I'm like,
Right.
I like have a baby in the hand, and my mom's chandelier, and I'm like, you.
Wait, was that Jai that you were pouring there?
Oh, it's high lie, yes.
I know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just making
No
fun.
free promotion on my channel, but here. Yeah,
highlight, yeah.
It's it might be the best IPA, at least commercially available.
I think I've seen you drink that one before.
Yeah, I've seen it at his house. The they played highlight in
Jamaica.
do you pronounce the A?
No, it's just highlight.
I thought it was highlight.
Highlight. They played it at the beginning of Miami Vice. That's when I was always like, what is this field hockey /
Yeah, and I didn't know that for years. For years, I just thought it was Jai, and I did not know the correlation until I think I went down to the brewery or one of my friends put me onto it. I had zero clue that was that.
They brought it up in Mad Men too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, remember that?
Vaguely. What did they bring it up for?
Well, they were going to do an ad campaign for it. And they're like, what the heck is this Jai?
Yeah. And it's even so Cigar City, they actually, that's the tagline of the advertisement for the beer. It's the best beer that you can't pronounce the name, or something like that. But it's a really good beer. I love it.
Nailed it.
Speaking of things that we really love, S38 Fire Team, we're back. What's going on, guys? I am a gracious host, Dre Zoom. I have Brooklyn Taylor. Say what's up to the people, Brooklyn.
Hello. Welcome to our podcast.
I have Adam, the mayor of Slick Top City, also known as the Wolf. What is up, my guy?
This is Adam, broadcasting from Slick Top City, Arizona.
Yes, and we are back for episode number 13. And this is a really special one. Over the last week or so, my friends and I, the guys here I'm on this podcast with, and some of our other friends that are in our core group, we've been, if you know us, you know that annually we make our pilgrimage to Vintage, which is in Asheville, North Carolina. For years and years, we stayed at the Clarion Hotel. Lately here, we've been getting really nice Airbnbs. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But given the known challenges and destruction, let's just call it destruction, of the Asheville and Asheville area, it's been very that hits close to home, literally and figuratively, because it's a place that me personally, I can speak for myself, that I absolutely love the Asheville area. I actually had plans maybe to retire there, move there. I just love the area. And not to go on a promotional ad tour for Asheville tour, visit Asheville, but it's a great town. And we know that the hurricane recently went through there, and the dam and the flooding, Lake Chimney Rock, Lake Lure. We've seen the pictures, we've seen it on social media, and it's just absolutely devastating. There is a Facebook group called The Vintage, which is most of us here know, well, that are on the podcast, we know Scott Sturdy. He's the good man that puts all of that on. So we've been attending Vintage. I check that. I have been attending Vintage for nearly 10 years straight now. I think next year will make my 10th year. Brooklyn and Adam have been attending even longer than that. So there's, I can't speak enough about how much it's an integral part of our, not just our car lives, but our regular lives as well. It's I was kind of chopping it up with the guys. I said, hey, let's, we have 1,000 stories and 1,000 pictures from our years attending Vintage, and let's share that with the people. Let's share that with everybody, and just show our support for what they're going through there. We may not be able to fly our helicopter in and rescue cats and dogs, but we can at least just take a few minutes, an hour or so, and just share some of our stories, and share some really cool BMWs, to include our own, that we've seen over the years at the Vintage. So Adam, what was your take on this week's assignment?
Yeah, I wanted to say, give my positive thoughts and obviously prayers to the people of Asheville and that surrounding area. I've also thought about making that place a home, or that area within, a few hundred miles of that area home. So like you, I have lots of great memories of that area. And I was just looking at the photo we all took in front of Chimney Rock a couple of years ago. And, just seeing the devastation, like you mentioned, of especially that little town is, obviously quite jarring. And then obviously the place where we hang out and have our little meets, a place called Hot Springs, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. That place was also very savagely flooded. So we're obviously kind of holding our breath and hoping that we'll be able to do all of our typical shenanigans this year. But that's first world problems, really. There's people that live there, and we're obviously thinking about them, and we hope that they get back on their feet and back to normal life as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Brooklyn, you and Adam have been attending Vintage long before it was in Asheville. I know you guys attended when it was in Winston-Salem, but given the recent events, how do you feel about what's going on?
Yeah, the Vintage was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for years, and we attended both a show called the Shark Fest, put on by our friends Kai and Nat, and also the Vintage. And there were a couple years where they had a joint, at least one year where they had a joint show in Winston-Salem. About that time, the Wolf and I would drive from here in Maryland before he moved out west, and we would take, our cars down there, E24s, and then sometimes E31s or whatever else, E28s. And it was always such a family environment that we just really enjoyed it. And when it moved from Winston-Salem to Asheville, it just, I think you, Tim, Craig came to a couple in Winston-Salem before it moved out to Asheville. But we've made Asheville a second home, right? The Vintage is always the Vintage. It's no secret to anyone who's ever known us. The Vintage is our Super Bowl. We are in preparation. We're like,
it's the name of our group chat too, right? Our main group chat.
The Vintage is our name of our group chat. So Vintage Prep. So we're always in preparation. Day after the Super Bowl, we're preparing for the next Super Bowl. So this has become, the city of Asheville and Hot Springs, and just the tradition has become an integral part of our lives, right? We're planning that, the people we work with don't have to ask where we're going to be in May, don't have to ask, if we're going to be at work, because it's PTO, prepare the others, because we will not be in the office during that time in May, right? And I expect for 2025, the same thing will be true. Whatever happens in any portion, in any proportion, we're still going to be there to support that area in any way we can. We're praying for those people. Those storms, Helene and Milton, devastated the area, and we really love cars, but it's always been about the people that you meet, the people you hang out with, the people that you see once a year. It is a true family reunion. So we're just hoping everyone who actually lives in that area stays safe, and we're hoping that they're able to rebuild. Selfishly, of course, we want to continue going to shows there, but the people there are so great and the environment is so great. We're hoping that everything, can be made whole.
Right on. So it's clear that we have an emotional connection with that area. So again, we want to send our thoughts and prayers and just general, as my son, my youngest son, Cadian, had one of his friends over, and I was taking him to the mall in the M5, actually, the E28 M5. And, everything was like, dude, that's giving Aurora, I guess, aura. I'm like, what is this? But we're sending the good vibes and all those things to that area. But, let's talk about for a minute, or for a good while, let's talk about our favorite memories and the associated picks with that. So Adam, I'm gonna let you start it off here. Talk to us. What do you got lined up for the people?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious from my shirt that I'm a Waffle House fan, and that is, I guess that's sort of a touchstone for us. Waffle House is open, 24/7, 366, and they actually are kind of a touch point for the squad. And we have always tried to make it to a Waffle House. They're, open whenever we all get there. Vintage can't start until we're all there. Vintage doesn't end until we're all home. And so I have some great photos of all of us at Waffle House, kind of enjoying the food, the atmosphere, and just hanging out. And one of my favorite memories is one year when we went, and we sort of left without somebody, I believe, and they ended up coming a little bit behind us, And so we were all sitting down at a table waiting for this person, and this person showed up, and he had a car that had no exhaust on it. And so he blasted by the front windows of the Waffle House.
Okay. I remember this
And,
now.
shook the entire building. So everybody else is looking to the windows, wondering what the heck is going on. And we know that our friend just arrived. And then he parks his vehicle, comes up to the door. There's 2 doors into every Waffle House, so he comes, he opens the first door, opens the second door, and then stands in that second door ready to do battle. And we're all just sitting there joking on him. So
I don't remember that story as intimately, but I do remember it now. Yeah, that was vintage 16. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite memories. Is that particular vintage? Us all meeting together. We had just gotten there. I think it was like Thursday or Friday night, and the show is on Saturday. And we're just kind of chopping it up.
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
This is vintage 16, and here's some fun facts. At least if you don't mind, Adam, let me just hop in here. Fun facts about this photo. First of all, this is Adam's younger brother, Adama. Apparently, this guy looks. This guy ripping. Look at this guy. This guy's good looking. You look like an MMA fighter, really, in this picture. Those MMA fighters? They're like, they just real plain looking. They look like an English teacher, but they have like these muscular tones about them. And it's like this guy could rip somebody's head off. But that was actually my first time physically meeting Adam. Was minutes before this photo was taken. So, and also this was the night that I revealed that I bought an E28 M5, which Adam was in on that on the whole thing from stem to stern. So this was, and hence how we coined the term waffles. This is where waffles comes from. So when you surprise your family or your friends or your coworkers with something and it's completely unexpected, then you have waffled them, right? So if you're working on your PhD in complete silence and you're not telling anybody, right, and then you send them an invite to the commencement ceremony, then you've just waffled them. If you tell your wife, guess what, we're going to be parents because my side chick has a baby, you just waffled your wife. Also, have a good lawyer. Maybe not the best example, but at any rate, you see what waffling is. Brooklyn, do you remember that night after you broke the windows at Waffle House?
I do remember that night. I remember, as has occurred many, many times with this squad, you guys left me, abandoned me at our quarters, and I had to catch up. And, I all but drifted into the Waffle House parking lot with the M5's S62 individual throttle bodied 5-liter V8 roaring in all its glory. And it was, with the Alcantara and the plush extended leather, it wasn't that loud inside the car, but I could tell that outside the car, you could practically see the windows, which weren't made to wobble at the Waffle House, and some people inside checked to make sure they hadn't been shot. But that was pretty. Yeah, that was a good time.
And just talking about, we were in the parking lot of the Clarion, and I will never forget this. I was a little jelly, but just a little jelly. But Brooklyn has the M5. This is in the Clarion parking lot, it's all vintage BMWs, right? Mm-hmm. But Brooklyn has the E39 M5. He has the hood up, the doors open, the trunk open, and there's a crowd of people around the car like, oh wow, it's the E39 M5. And you must have had it running or you turned it on, and I was standing, several cars away, and somebody tell you to, rev it, and you get in there, and you're like, wow, like bouncing off the limiter almost. And the guys that I was standing around, they didn't know me, and I didn't know them, and they looked at each other. They were like, "That's got to be an LS swap," and they ran over there, and I'm like, It's S62. It's an LS swap, and it's not that loud. Why would you say that? You know, like get out of here, man. So yeah, I when you brought the M5 that year, that was a spectacle. The car was so loud, or still is apparently.
Yeah, that car's loud. I've actually been asked by kids at Sonic and stuff if how to do an LS swap on is that an LS swap? And I'm like, no, it's not an LS swap. So that's probably a popular misconception. I mean, it's a big V8. And I think it would sound better than an LS. The individual throttle bodies make all the difference, I think, in all of our cars, because we've got the S38s that we're famous for have individual throttle bodies, and it makes a sound. And M30s sound great. S38s sound fantastic. M62s sound great. S62s with the individual throttle bodies sound fantastic. And then when you open it, when you take creative license with your exhaust system, you get even more.
We'll let the authorities know you've removed the catalytic converters. You don't have to act like it's an art piece, okay?
No, it has catalytic converters. It just doesn't have rear
anything else
silencer.
after the catalytic converter. Yes, I know. Anything
Silencer.
else? It has paper straws from the catalytic converters all the way to the bumper. Yes,
but the constabulatory across the nation, because I've driven the car as far up as New York and as far down as South Carolina. I get thumbs up from the police. They really like the sound. I think it's like everything else in life. It's not horrible as long as people enjoy it. Now, my neighbors at 6 a.m, maybe not.
Oh, listen, that's what Puff Daddy said too before he started recording. So there's that
thing I wanted to bring up about that photo. So I believe at that time, 3 of us were still in the Marines, if I remember correctly. I believe Tim and Craig were still in the Marines.
No. Tim was retired.
Okay.
Tim was retired. Craig was still in. Still in, and you were still in. Yeah.
Okay. So
was that the year we did the retirement ceremony for Craig, or the next year?
That was 17.
Okay. Yeah, I was 17.
You guys have
you were retiring this year, right, Adam?
I was retiring in 16, correct?
Yeah.
So the point I wanted to make up is that this is like the core group, the 5 of us, the 5 Marines, all of us are Marines. And it's a pretty tight group. And there's this famous quote that goes something along the lines of, "You're the average of your 5 closest friends." And I got to tell you, all I'm trying to do is not to bring the average down. Okay.
Please.
Love it.
Well, now you're trying to raise the average because you're at the top of the pack. So good job there, buddy. Way to over.
In 2016, I didn't know a lot of these guys very well. Like Drake kind of mentioned there, I hadn't met some of these guys in person yet. So it's been a real great, this has been a really core group for me, and I think it's something that a lot of other dudes could probably benefit from.
Amen to that. That's what
this was so long ago that a lot of the group knew each other from emails.
Yeah. And Brooklyn, might I say, in this picture, you have not. What in the vampire in Brooklyn is going on here? Why haven't you aged not even an inch? You look the exact same.
Hey, vampires gotta keep it quiet.
The curious case of Benjamin Brooklyn. What is going on here, man?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Good stuff. All right, Adam. I am going to share your next photo. Yeah.
All right. So that's 2018. I think all of us are retired by then, and just kind of keeping the same tradition. So
was that 18?
Yeah, that's 18. Yep.
That's pretty.
The other one I sent you is from 17.
17, right. This is 18. I honestly don't remember 18 Waffle House trip, but I'll take your word for it. Yes. No, you know what? I think we went in the Dodge Ram. I think we took the Dodge Ram. All right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But that photo, the small photo on the phone to set up the photo.
Yeah. 16.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that is 16. Yeah. I don't think this is Adam. I'm gonna have to challenge you here. I don't think that's 18 because Alan would have been there. Unless we just, maybe he was. No, you know what? You're right. I checked that. I'm gonna edit this part out where I'm wrong. Just for clarity. You're right. That is 18 because we kicked Lewis, Aaron, and Alan out of the photo, and we just took the photo ourselves because they were at another. They were there. Yeah. So no, you're right. Not
Yeah,
good. Hey,
so
listen.
we were replicating the old photos. So no matter who
Right,
was
right,
who
yeah.
was physically there, we were.
This is
only
what happens when I try to challenge somebody with a master's degree. This is what happens. Yeah, I get made a fool.
I guess.
All right, good stuff. Yeah. All right. Anything interesting about this? This was 18, which, you know, I will talk about 2018 here in a minute, but yeah, I like this one. Good shirts in there too.
Yeah, where's my E30M3 blip shift shirt?
Well, if it was a blip shift shirt, it only lasted about a year because that's how long mine's lasted. So if you're listening, blip shift, you need to find a different sweat factory.
Mine have been pretty sturdy. I mean, you also have to. I just wash them in cold and hang them up. Maybe you're washing yours with towels.
You wash them cold and hang them up. What is this? Where are we? East of the Berlin Wall? Why would I do that? I have a $500 dryer. It's lucky I don't get in there.
Oh,
okay?
I don't dry my t-shirts at all whatsoever. I've never dried a single t-shirt that I own. Not on purpose. It would have to accidentally fall in with some socks or something. Well, that's how I get my t-shirts to last long. Now you know.
Noted. Anyway, not really
put
too
yours
much
in the dryer as well?
Of course.
This is why you guys wear such tight t-shirts. Got it. Now I understand.
I would also like to point out that, well, no, never mind. I don't want to go off on this tangent.
Mine don't shrink. I've had this t-shirt.
The whole entire show is a tangent at this point because we're debating t-shirt washing regimens.
We didn't have a dryer when I was a kid. You know,
exactly.
So you have to dry everything. Now you have to dry everything. You dry your paper towels in the home.
No, I'm just saying we didn't have a dryer when I was a kid. We took everything out to the clothesline.
Exactly. Yeah. That's listen. If you can't sell me a shirt that can survive 45 minutes in the dryer, what are we doing?
45 minutes in the dryer is abusive. Well, you know what?
You wouldn't know. You don't put your shirts in the dryer, so you wouldn't know.
For a long time, it's not that I don't put anything in the dryer. I don't put my shirts and my pants in the dryer, which is why they look brand new after.
Is this why you're always late to everything?
This is why I'm going to try to. It's a family show, so I'm not going to curse. But this is why your blip shift shirts last less than a year, and mine.
And that's why I've bought one blip shift shirt and none other. Because every time I say, and they drop some cool ones, but I'm just like, yeah, that's made out of paper mache. Hard pass.
That was 2018. I just like that we we try and keep the tradition alive. I don't think we've done this photo for quite a few years, but it's we're still trying to do it every year. I think we miss a year or two of actually going to Waffle House and just kind of chopping it up.
We missed a couple years, yeah.
But we went this past year, in 2024, I believe. And
we need to.
No, we did not go to Waffle House.
I thought we did.
What?
No, we did not. We went in 2023. We didn't go in 2024.
All right, my bad.
Listen, when you have the Beatles don't remember every line of every album they had. Sometimes that happens.
Well, this is why I'm bringing it up. Okay, how's that?
There you go. Perfect.
I want to keep the tradition alive. I think it's a great tradition. I have some really great memories inside of Waffle House. Not to mention the waffles being dispensed by our own squad.
Amen.
Waffles. All right, and Adam's not done. He keeps coming with the hits. I gotta share this one, man. This one is hilarious. You gotta tell me what's going on here. What?
So this was 17. This was 17.
Yeah, this was 17. Yeah.
And
is this after we killed Bin Laden, SEAL Team 6, and we came back to the States?
Something like that. To protect the innocent, the photo was redacted. So we don't know who was in this photo, but it was some pretty mean dudes.
Man, yeah.
How about the McDonald's cup in the background? I've seen this photo a million times, and I don't think I've ever noticed that. McDonald's cup at Waffle House. Great photo, great time. Back when Tim had a low cut instead of Bob Marley dreads. Looks like I went with the goatee and the blip shift shirt again. Dre has already ruined our chances of blip shift sponsorship, but that's a cool photo.
And also, I had the exact same blip shift shirt or what's left of it. And judging by this photo, either that's just good camera angle. You look pretty svelte there, but it looks like that thing's been through the dryer at least once already. I'm just saying.
No, it was brand new in that photo.
Yeah. Adam was going for the homeless veteran look, right?
I was.
That's
That was
one of my favorite lines, by the way. I use it every time I grow out a beard, and they're like, "Oh, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going for the homeless veteran look." Yeah.
yeah. This was the year after I retired, and I vowed to myself that I would not get a haircut or shave for a year, and so consequently, you get homeless veteran.
It's a good look.
So Heather was very excited when I finally shaved after that, and but she declared that now it must be pretty well trimmed and not to not get
Well,
in her mouth.
you're a corporate professional now, Adam. Of course, right?
Something like that. Yeah,
you're a corporate professional. You know you're part of a Fortune 500 company, so you can't walk in there looking like you've come to gather the trash out of the office.
I mean, you would know. So
Yeah.
easy. This is a fun. I remember this night quite vividly. Waffle Housing it up, and this was fun. Now this is after the inclusion of Alan into the squad group. This is before Lewis, but after Alan, and this was the first year that we all took a picture because 2016. Even though we were all there at Vintage, we never all took a picture together. So that was the impetus behind this.
Great times.
And Adam, segue into your last one here. Do you want me to share that? Yeah.
Sure. Last photo.
This is good stuff as well. And it's so funny that you chose this. I'll let you present, but then I'll tell a quick little story about it as well.
And so my friend Paul Muskoff built this car, and I happened to drive it the year prior to this. It's a V12 E28 that he bequeathed from somebody else who built it, but he turned it up to 13 or 14, obviously. And I remember this car specifically because he had gone sort of radio silent on social media. He said he was working on the car. Vintage prep is continuous. He was working on the car, and he, but he had gone radio silent as to what exactly he was doing. So I happened to be standing by myself in the parking lot at the Clarion when he pulled in and, basically was presenting the car to the world or to the vintage crowd for the first time. And so nobody had seen the car except for me at that moment. Right, he was about 3 minutes away from presenting it to the entire vintage crowd, doing a lap around the Clarion parking lot, and presenting it to everyone. And I remember I froze. He came up, he rolled down his window, and I was like, I was just like ecstatic for him because this is what he had done with the car. Previously, it didn't have fender flares and it didn't have the vinyl on it, and it was just like a nondescript looking tan E28. With a V12 and a 5-speed under the hood. But this, like I said, it really turned it up to 13 or 14, and I was just dumbfounded. I was like, "Yep, this is it. This is what I look like on the inside, or very similar, anyways." And
nice.
So, yeah, I was super glad for my friend. Like I said, I had driven it the previous year, and since that moment, I have not stopped thinking about having my own V12 vintage car, and I'm getting closer and closer to doing my own little reveal to the world. And that's pretty much. This has pretty much been,
as much as they'll allow you to speak on it, right? This is as far as you can go.
This has pretty much been at the forefront of my mind since that moment.
Waffles incoming. What year was this?
This is an example of Waffle. He's literally letting you know.
I don't remember exactly what year this was. I want to say it was like 18 or 19.
This was
19.
It was not 19. It had to be either 17 or 18.
Okay. Anyway, so
16. They brought it for the first time. Him and what do you call him? V12 Jesus. Jeff.
V12 Jesus.
Yeah, it was 16, and then 17. It was in the stock guys. So you're right. This is 18.
Yeah, that's pretty much the car that I've been kind of chasing around for the last 8 years now, in my head and also in my garage.
Perfect.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Yeah, success leaves clues, right? So good on it. When to piggyback on Adam, when Moosehead brought the car into the parking lot. I remember and Adam, you and I may have been walking together. Maybe I was by myself. And I remember seeing the car from the left rear quarter panel and seeing the fender flares. And I remember saying to myself, I'm like, motherfuckers out here are really doing it big. Like 18 was one of the biggest years. I think that was the 50th anniversary for BMW. It was a big year. I can't remember. Yeah. And the parking lot at the Clarion was, and this was pre Longhorns, pre when they it was packed, and it was the Friday night, I think it was. And Moosehead rolls up, and I didn't know it was Moosehead. And I'm walking towards the car, and I'm like, is this a wide body E28? You know, and it was dark, so I couldn't tell. And obviously nobody would notice that this is Moosehead's car. You wouldn't be able to tell. That's how much it changed.
Right.
So I as I walk up to the car, Moosehead is on the other side at the right front quarter panel, and he's eating. He got food from the taco place. And he was like, I was like, Moosehead, what's up, dude? I'm like, he's like, oh man, I just got here. And I was like, dude, this is you. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, and as Adam was saying, like Moosehead was just silent, and he pops up with this, and waffles. I was like, dude, you waffled. That's exactly. I was like, dude, you just waffled everybody here. He was like, no, I got tacos. I'm eating tacos right now. I was like, no. I was like, let me explain to you. So I gave him a crash course in waffling. He's like, well, tacos are still good. I'm like, that's fine, but cool car. And you're selling it short, Adam. This is also supercharged.
It's also what?
Supercharged.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it is supercharged.
Minor details. Yep. So in 16, he brought it with just the V12. 17, he brought it with the supercharger. And I want to say he had one or two intercoolers that are actually behind the fog light cutouts. If you go back and look at the picture,
I drove it that year. I drove it that year when it was supercharged, when it was freshly supercharged.
And the intercoolers are little small square kind, and I think he got them from either a 3000 GT or a Mitsubishi Eclipse. One of those. It's a Japanese. I want to say it's the 3000 GT. At least that's what he told me. Paul, hopefully you're watching this, Paul. You can correct us in the comments. But at any rate, cool car.
How did that drive, Wolf?
I got to tell you, honestly, I was a little bit let down by the suspension the year I drove it. Right. I knew what the formula was as far as the drive line and all that good stuff, but it was still on like stock suspension, stock E28 suspension, and it showed. So he fixed all of that, obviously, with he addressed the suspension and the wheels and all that good stuff that following year, but I have not driven it since. But if you remember, coming out of the Clarion parking lot, you can make a right out of the parking lot, and then you make another right, and it's basically downhill to the
highway. Yep.
To the highway, right? And that, if you can do it in one swooping motion, it's really a good ride. And I was able to actually do that. So I'm just rolling down the gears down this on ramp, trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible. And I remember it being very, very smooth, lots of torque, easily pulling an E28 along. And it was just intoxicating power. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was just enough to let you know there's something that was there, and it was just like super smooth. And so that was it. That was the moment.
It's a fascinating car because there was no point in which an E28 was supposed to have a V12 or even a V8. So shoehorning that and then supercharging it, that's amazing.
All right, Brooklyn, you're up. I said send me a picture, and you sent me a 1000 a folder with 1000 pictures. So I love that you always follow the rules. Multiple years here, so I will let you where do you want me to go with you
just put something up and I'll talk about it, because
perfect. That's what I like.
Is under promise and over deliver, as a person who
Dealer's choice. Gotcha. All right.
A person who is a Jamaican, a Marine, a New Yorker, it's kind of like being a CrossFitter or a vegan.
A guy who only puts his t-shirts in the washing machine, not the dryer. which is much more threatening than any of those other things you've shared.
I mean, look at my shirt. All right, this is at Chimney Rock. I love this photo because there's some diversity here, right? And there's a story behind each and every one, right? There is Kerry, who was Dr. Robinson at the times, and now it's Dr. Malloy's 9/11. There is Bob, the Venerable Bob, one of I think everyone in the squad's all-time favorite squad cars. There is Madeline, who is that is Madeline, right?
Yeah, that's Madeline.
That's not Mando, that's Madeline, right?
Yeah, that's
Yellow
Madeline.
lights. That's Madeline. E30. There's Oscar, that was Dr. Dan Malloy's and is Danger Dan's and is now the judges.
Everybody's completely confused by me.
And then there's the blue early Euro E24 that is also the judges, aka Craig. And then the last car there is an E38 that belongs to my ex-girlfriend Andrea's uncle. Because my M6 broke down, he was gracious enough I'm talking about the 11th hour to give us an E38 so we could roll down the vintage. And let me tell you, that was the most luxurious ride. I was completely sold on the E38. I've always liked E38s because it's the when Dre edits this, he'll put in the James Bond E38. The E38, it's the E38 740 IL, silver on gray, long wheelbase, smooth, very fast, very smooth. The size of the length of a modern SUV probably, but really tight in even the twisties. Great car. I probably will own an E38. But that's first photo. That's when we were all at the restaurant. And right after that photo, I believe, is when Dre got a flat tire, not his last flat tire of that weekend. But we all converged. It was I wouldn't call a flat tire tragic, but it was a bad thing, but it was a great thing because we converged like a pit crew. Is that the tire?
The tire is flat in this picture.
Oh,
you can see it.
Yeah.
It's only flat on the bottom.
Perfect. That's one place I don't need it to be flat. Thanks, Adam.
Right.
But I pay Adam good money.
And we didn't get 2 blocks away. And thankfully we all, unlike you guys always leaving me, we didn't leave each other. So when as soon as we noticed that you were in distress, we pulled out. I had a floor jack in the trunk. We just really, really quickly changed that. That was back. I think that was back in the day when Dre believed that, rolling on dry rotted or really old tires was just, fun for the whole family. So
stop yourself, bro. Stop yourself. Don't even.
Oh, I'm the only one that can get thrown under the bus. Got it.
Listen, you don't have the privilege of making on-spot jokes, at my expense. All right, because that will be it. Listen, those tires. I think they ended up being a little bit old, but yeah, that's another podcast for another day. My adventures in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Oof, buddy.
Too soon. Apparently.
No, but listen, I appreciate you because everybody does what they can to help. But on my second flat tire, when you called me, you were like, "Where are you at? Send me the location." And I know you were probably halfway home, so I never ever forget people who help me out. So appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, I know that you have.
Thank you for appreciating me after 30 years of friendship. But next photo, let's see here.
I know you have a hard time talking about yourself, but go ahead and tell me about this photo.
Okay, so this photo, which I didn't, this photo was taken by my lady Shalinda. Shout outs to her because she's amazing and this is an awesome photo. The crew, almost the whole crew, we're still missing the judge's white E24 635 CSI Euro. It should have been also in this photo, but this is a great photo of everything the squad bought this year to the vintage, to our mansion, the mansion on the mountaintop. We've got Mando, the E30 with the S50 swap all the way out there in the front. Then we've got to the right, we've got the silver E30 Madeline, both on BBS wheels. We've got Tim's red E28 535 IS on BBS wheels, which was Waffles because we didn't know he had those wheels. In fact, in hindsight, yeah,
we knew about the wheels.
What's
we
that?
Knew about the wheels. We knew about the wheels.
We knew the wheels existed. We did not know he had them and had them on that car. That's my red 1988 Cinnabar M6 in the foreground. Our hosts, Dre Zoom's black E28 M5 Bob, and Adam's Euro E28 on OEM M5 wheels is in the left corner there. And I'm just basking in the center, just basking in the glory of, you know, my friend's cool cars. You know, I'm happy to be there as always. I really love you guys. Really love spending that time every year. You know, and we all come from far and wide to do it. So that's greatness.
This was a memorable year, actually. Very memorable.
For sure.
Especially with your car. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
I thought we were gonna get to another photo of that, but
that's
yeah.
Season, that's season 2. We'll that's when we start sharing how what are we better at, breaking cars or fixing cars? Because right now it's like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, breaking cars, fixing cars.
Right. So yeah, just as a preamble, these two gentlemen here, Dre and Adam, worked through the night to fix my car that would not have made it to vintage this year. It would have been another year. It would have been a year not on the lawn, but these gentlemen really stepped up. Also, shout out to my friend Levant up in New Jersey, owner of Guden Parts, who overnighted us the parts to get the M6 onto the lawn. That was, you know, we thankfully had a garage in our Airbnb. We had all the tools in the world. So all guys were all hands on, the whole squad helped put this together. But Dre and Adam, you know, spearheaded that effort, and it worked. And they put a new Guibo CSB into the, pulling off the drive shaft, put it back together, got the car on order. And in fact, you know, like Michael Jordan in the flu game, I got sick at some point, but unlike Michael Jordan, I didn't score any points. I got sick and went to bed, and these guys 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning fixed my car up. I woke up in the morning, you know, at the time I didn't know at the time I had food poisoning or something. So somehow I drove 10 hours back home and then was just done for the rest of the week. But you know, there's so many great stories like this of us, you know, helping each other out, having each other's backs, fixing our cars, fixing other people's cars. There was one year a gentleman who was a Vietnam pilot, Marine pilot, helicopter pilot. His car broke down, and I happened to have a spare ECU with me that year, and they couldn't figure out how to fix his car, and I lent him my spare ECU. He fired it up, drove back. He was with his wife as well, and drove back to Florida. So there's countless stories of people helping people being amazing human beings at the vintage. And it is what the world is supposed to be like. I've always said that. The vintage, that event, and the people who go there, and our brotherhood, this is what the world is supposed to be like.
Could not have said it better myself. And vintage always encapsulates everything that is important to us as motorheads and car guys and BMW lovers. vintage this previous May. It was very special because, as you said, we were at a mansion, and we were at a mansion, and it was, you're underselling the fact that it was on top of a mountain. It literally was on top of a mountain.
No,
and,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
which is how I broke the M6 in the first place.
Exactly, that's where I was going, and that's I know you snapped the CSB. No, yeah, right, CSB, right, Adam? Yeah, snapped the CSB in half, and that car was not going anywhere. There's not a tow truck that was coming to get that car.
No,
you would have just had to push it down the hill and call Geico in the morning and be like, "You're not going to believe this." So good stuff, man.
As a matter of fact,
it's a great shot at a Waffle House where we did make a Waffle House run. This is a shot from last year, 2023, with the red, white, and blue E24s, and these cars they're all BMW E24s, yet they all have their own special character. The early Euro, the blue early Euro 635 CSI, and then the Euro that's E12 bodied, and then the E24 bodied Euro that Craig owns both of these now, and then my red 88 M6. And wait, also 2023, that's the year I managed to do something to the paint, and we ended up bringing it to a
stop. Managed to do something to the paint. You took it through the car wash. That's what you did.
Everybody loves when someone brings up old shit.
And you hit the. I didn't remember. Not only did you take it through the car wash, you paid extra for the hot wax option. Keep going.
I don't know about all that, but anyway, there was a gentleman right there in Asheville wherever we were, Hendersonville, close to Asheville, who detailed the car for me, and it was the best. The M6, my M6, she's known as Halle Berry, the best Halle Berry has looked since just ever, like to the point where people were walking up and taking pictures and stuff. I mean, she usually gets attention, but this guy really just did the wax on, wax off, and it was truly impressive. Next photo, unless we're out of time. No, you can do your photos. We got to, and yeah, I'm sure you'll edit in a bunch of photos.
Adam, you were about to interject earlier. Did you have something to add, Darren?
Oh, I was just going to point out that the Airbnbs that we've gotten have been clutch because they have had garages. I think 2 out of 3 of them have had garages, and we've used them. We've used those garages. Oh, yeah. So that's really like almost a secret superpower that we've kind of discovered, is having a garage rather than just borrowing a garage, which we've also done. We've also borrowed garages in the Asheville area, right, Dre?
Yes, we have.
Danger Dan.
So we've done that, and before we ever knew him, really. And that was just like clutch. Having these garages and, having a few tools with us, really enables us to make this happen. Because these are old cars, between 30 and 40 years old, and stuff happens. No matter how much vintage prep you do, you could be stopping 200 miles from your home and be stranded, really easily. And this is up to 600 or 700 miles away from the closest person that lives near Asheville at this moment. So.
All right, we are pushing up on it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share at least a little something. You guys actually did a really good job, and I know I can't really follow up to that too much.
I'll actually did a really good job.
Yeah, you guys did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
That is a form of thank you. Yeah.
Actually.
Front hand, backhand.
Well, right. Front hand, backhand. Much to my surprise, you guys actually did a really good job.
Not to my surprise. You guys,
you'll be CEO of your company in moments with that kind of attitude.
Listen, you guys
that is exactly the leadership we expect.
You guys exceeded all expectations, which are really low.
Right.
Listen, there's pizza in the break room. Okay, that's all you need to know.
Oh yeah. Now
You're
now
that
you've
guy.
got it down.
Oh,
There's
you're
pizza
that
in the
leader.
break room. That's all you need to know. Yeah, it's hard to really follow up on anything that you guys really talked about because you guys hit the nail on the head very, very well. And what I'll probably do instead, just to show the people instead of extending this video any longer than these, I'll just link some of the videos that I did from vintage back in the day. But this is one of my favorite photos, and
That's
we're in
great.
the parking lot. Vintage 2018. The squad as a group, which is, listen, I love my family. I love you guys, but my actual blood family, I love them. And it's been almost 8-9 years, and we still have not been able to conclusively go on a family trip, because it's always somebody's always busy, somebody's this, somebody's that, can't figure out where we want to go. In 2018, as a group of friends, we said, hey, we're going to be in Asheville for the entire week. And we arrived on the Tuesday of the week. And I don't know if anybody's ever been to the Clarion. You get there on Thursday, there's BMWs, obviously.
Yeah.
Even Wednesday night, but if you get there on the Tuesday, Craig and I were the only BMWs in the parking lot. There's nobody there. There's no BMWs there, I should say. This photo is the first day that we got there. And this was our formal introduction to Merlin, which is the blue 535 IS on the right-hand side. And of course, that's my M5 there on the left side. And this is like a photo that car and driver would have on their, and the E31, the V12 E31 poking in the background there. This is like, it would be on a brochure or in a car and driver magazine or Motor Week episode. It's just really, really cool because we had, these are two very, if potent E28s, obviously his, that 535 RS was turbocharged. So it was a lot faster, but it, visually they had the same profile, and each have their own merits. Some people like a naturally aspirated engine, and some people love a good, they're boost junkies. So it was fun to have another E28, that could get rowdy with it whenever we wanted to that weekend. But as I was saying, we showed up on Tuesday, and not only did we show up on Tuesday, but we were battling, and this maybe was foreboding, just a lot of rain that weekend. That week, there was a ton of rain. I had all these drives planned to go to these different places, and we were going to rendezvous with Tim, and he had problems. So it was a lot of last minute shuffling of plans, but we made it work, and we had so much fun. I think on Tuesday night, we must have went to Thirsty Monk. I think we went to Thirsty Monk on Tuesday night right there in Biltmore Village. The Wednesday, we went down to Greenville because all of the rain was coming in from the north. So we went south through a bunch of, I think it was Saluda and the three E31s were representing. It was just
I was about to say, isn't this the Italian job year?
Yeah, this is the Italian job year where
that was such a great project.
Yeah, Italian job year, and we had 3 E31s, red, white, and green, that looked like the Italian flag or the Mexican flag, depending on how they lined up. And it was just too nice. Aaron was there. Aaron was there with his E34 M5 that was slammed on coilovers. And
the squad installed right before that.
Yep, that
Dr. Robinson's house.
I couldn't believe that footage you shared with us of the install of the coilovers. That was hilarious. I forgot that ever happened.
Yeah, you're like, Brooklyn's like, well, how low are you gonna make it? Like, he's like, lower than low. What is the lowest thing you can think of? That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm lowering the car 3 inches. Just
3 inches lower than stock ride height?
Like that. No. 3 inches lower than low.
And that thing sat beautifully too.
It did. It did.
And that's a tradition that continues on. This is why Side Chick scrapes the back off of ants and she drives down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, and this picture right here, you can see the rain, and just for BMWs, and again, we all agree that this is really the heyday of BMW. This is when they made some of the best cars that they ever produced. E34 M5, 535 IS, E28.
Did you change the photo? We can't. I don't see a
Oh,
different photo.
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course not. I'm sorry.
I was going to say one more thing about Merlin is I don't remember any car being more grin-inducing than that car. I mean, just plastered, just the grin plastered on your face.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was so fast. It was, it dominated every stoplight drag race, I believe, and you would never know it from looking at it. It looks like a completely stock car.
Right.
But obviously was very potent driveline.
Yeah, that car, Merlin is an amazing car because for me, the velocity, you never get that velocity mixed with that kind of greenhouse. That greenhouse is early 80s, late 70s design. You can see almost 360 degrees when you're driving in the car. And so having driven very fast cars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Corvettes, like very, very fast cars, Merlin feels just as fast, but it feels faster because you can see everything. There's no big A, B, or C pillars in your way. It's just like I'm in a 1980s box. Why is it going with this velocity? And it feels safe, it feels sure-footed, but it doesn't, your mind can't make sense of how fast this car is going.
Squad's had some great cars, and again, going back to that picture that I just had up of the different flavors of BMW in the 80s and the 90s, not that they don't make good cars now or really nice cars. I was just in a 2022 M5, absolute, it's a rocket. It's a cruise missile. It's a nuclear weapon for the street. But the experience that you have when you're driving, 70s, 80s, 90s BMWs, early 90s BMWs, it's so memorable that you don't forget it. You can forget. Like a couple of years ago, I rented a F10 M5, and very fun, very fast, but I forgot about it. Really, it's not, it's cool to look at and cool to drive, but it's not like, it doesn't boil into your memory banks like these cars do. So that's why
Really?
Brooklyn is sitting here talking about the 535 IS with a turbo, because it's seared into his memory banks, Good stuff.
I'm writing down what you said because it's so memorable that you don't forget it. Is something Yogi Berra would say.
So memorable that you don't forget it. Yeah, it is. It's not something that you can quickly forget. This is the last one. I said I wasn't going to share anymore, but this is just one of my ultimate all-time photos of the squad.
I love that photo so much.
This has been my background and my
Send that in the chat.
Again, this is Italian job. How you count up the cylinders, you count up the gears, you count up the cams, the valves, and it's just, it's like a car and driver comparison. It's fun to do car things that, like, when you were a kid, you would line up your Hot Wheels like this, and now I'm an adult hanging out with my best friends, and we're driving some of the coolest cars that I can think of. So, big thank you to you guys for making stuff like this happen. And then what brings this all together is definitely the vintage in Asheville every year. So this is where all of this really originates from. We still do things outside of that, but as Brooklyn alluded to, that's our Super Bowl. And we love that town, we love that area. I'm actually low-key trying to convince all of my friends to move there. So Asheville Tourism Board, you guys might have to owe me a check if if that happen, so at any rate, Adam, if you want to wrap up, what you got for me, man?
I cannot wait for vintage again.
Vintage 25. Yeah. It's coming.
That's it. That's the tweet.
That's the tweet. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, right on. Brooklyn?
We are going to do vintage 2025 regardless of the outcome, right? Like because we've done that before. When COVID hit and we weren't able to do vintage, we still got together and did something. We still did squad vintage. So we're going to do something for 2025, right? We might all show up at Dre's house or Adam's house or my house. We're going to do something. And in the meantime, we are going to keep pulling for the great people of Asheville and Hendersonville and that area, the great people of North Carolina. And we're gonna keep building cars. We're gonna keep being enthusiastic, and we're gonna keep spreading the love.
That's what I like to hear. So once again, our our most heartfelt feelings go out to the people in that area, and to all our vintage family, Scott Sturdy and all of those people that we see every year in May. We'll see you guys again very soon. So this is S38 Fire Team. That's a wrap for this episode. Catch you guys on the flip.